All done for comedic purposes, keep that in mind, don't cry in the comments. With 4 consecutive 1-2 finishes at the start of the 2024 Formula 1 season, I'm getting kind of bored already. Boring. You know, agreed one of them was Ferrari. Wow. But, you know, winning a race, getting a 1-2, that's pretty cool, right? But when was the last time Ferrari won a championship? Yeah, nobody really cares, so shut the f up. Anyways, welcome to the official roast of every single racing category. Because there's issues with every racing category. Some, there might be more, some there might be less. But there's always something that we can trash about, because nothing is ever perfect. Sounds kind of crazy in this day and age, but there will be a day where Verstappen doesn't win a championship. When might that be? In like the 70s, maybe? Maybe. But there will be a day. One day. If you want to add any of your own slander, put it down in the comments. I'll be reading them and liking them because slander is funny. Also, whilst you're there, you might as well subscribe and like. I don't know why you wouldn't, because I'm going to keep on saying this every single video. But ideas have to be done, and eventually they will be done. So subscribe and come along for the journey, please. And I hope you enjoy the video. So let's start off with Formula 1. Like usual, something that we all know about and something that we all love, right?
No, Mike, that was...
Yeah. Well, it's pretty fair to say you're either in the sport because you're born rich, you're actually a good driver, or you're a paid driver and a team only has you in the team because bring in a lot of cash. Yes, it might be the pinnacle of motorsport.
Stop the cap.
Everybody's developing their car as best as they can, but clearly some teams are better than others. Not only does that make the sport very, very boring to watch because every weekend you turn on the race and it's just Max Verstappen leading by like 25 seconds. And where's the fun in that? Boring. Certain engineers have spent their whole life being engineers to develop a good Formula 1 car. And in 2024, they turn up to the track, say with the Alpine, an absolute tractor. Or Ferrari. Yes, Ferrari. They've been in the sport longer than the sport's actually been alive. And when was the last time they managed to win a championship?
Very impressive.
Ferrari being Ferrari. They can have any driver they want. They've signed Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Alonso. None of them can win a championship. Well, Hamilton hasn't had a chance yet. They haven't won a championship since 2007. They are washed. And we all know certain drivers could have their own video dedicated on how bad they are, but Logan Sargent, Stroll, they have to be discussed. Because how is Alonso consistently in the top 10?
Bada bop boom pow.
And Lance Stroll can't even make it into the top 10. Alonso is battling for podiums on some occasions. And then there's Sargent, a driver who has been in the sport now, it's his 2nd year. The 20 best drivers are meant to be in Formula 1, and he has absolutely frauded his way into a race seat. Literally every race, it seems like he's either off the track, in the wall, or not even in the race. As I said, Formula 1 is meant to be the pinnacle of motorsport, but it honestly is quite shit, boring to watch, and just awful. No entertainment, there's nothing going on in the races, it's just 20 drivers driving in on the track, there's just nothing going on. Honestly, puts me to sleep.
Sleepy Joe Biden.
The V6 hybrid engines are so quiet, they're so bland, they sound like a Hoover, like a lullaby trying to put me to sleep. It's just, everything about this generation of Formula 1 is so bad. Now, if someone were to say racetrack or race circuit, this is what I'd think of. You know, a normal track looks like a child is absolutely just drawn over on a blank piece of paper, drawn some weird squiggly lines, and that's a racetrack, right? But if you're a NASCAR driver, you don't know what turning right is.
I'm gonna drive, and I'm gonna go fast, and I'm gonna turn to the left sometimes.
You know, on a normal racetrack, you have left turns, right turns, slow turns, fast turns, middle speedy turns. You have everything you need, chicanes, hairpins. But in NASCAR, the only talent of the NASCAR drivers is turning left.
Turn right to go left. Oh.
If you can avoid being put into an absolute Hurricane Katrina of a crash in NASCAR, then you're probably fine. You can go around the track, do a couple loop-de-loops, and that's all you have to do. Seems so simple. And then you get people glorifying Dale Earnhardt or the King for knowing how to turn left, and that's just not talented at all. A sport where it's basically the last man standing wins, because you're gonna get tagged, someone's gonna hit you, and if you avoid that, you know what? Fair enough, you've done a good job. Now yes, NASCAR does race on other circuits where they, you know, sometimes turn right. But let's be real, they're missing the corner most of the time because their muscles aren't attuned to doing this kind of motion.
Oh no!
Now yet again, for all of you Americans, you guys glorify IndyCar like it's the greatest sport of all time. But let's just remember, people that go to IndyCar are either failed Formula 1 drivers or drivers that aspire to get into Formula 1. Keep in mind that IndyCar has pretty much the same lap-to-lap pace as, let's say, a Formula 2 car, which is a step down from Formula 1. So basically what you're saying is Formula 2 is better than Formula 1?
What?
I don't know what you guys are smoking, crack, this, that, the other, but you're definitely on something. And you know you're wrong.
You are dead drunk.
When an IndyCar driver wins, let's say, the championship, you guys call him the world champion. But what is he the champion of? He hasn't raced in England, he hasn't raced in Monaco, he hasn't raced anywhere in Asia, Africa, heck, any other continent other than America. And that's meant to be a world champion? I don't think so. You're just the champion of America, and that's all there is to win in IndyCar. If you can name me an IndyCar driver that would take an IndyCar seat over a Formula 1 seat, honestly, my opinion might change slightly on IndyCar, but let's be real, that's not happening. Romain Grosjean, an ex-Formula 1 driver, he's now in IndyCar. Alex Palou, we all know that he's connected to McLaren, and a couple years back, he was in the hunt for the McLaren seat. And that would have happened if Piastri didn't stir the pot at Alpine and absolutely drop a bombshell and decide to leave. The MX-5 Cup next. Now, yes, this isn't like a huge racing category, but you know, I want to talk about it because the drivers in the MX-5 Cup are either drivers who are just absolutely shit, and that's the only category they can make it into, or they had a late start into racing, and you know, that's kind of unlucky because, you know, you kind of have to be born and bred into racing to be a good racer, I guess. It's like you can't be like 40 years old and decide, hold up, I want to be a football player. I want to be a pro football player, play for Real Madrid and be an absolute baller. That's not going to happen. That's just not how it works. Or somebody just wants to try something new and get into racing, which is cool, and I respect that. But, you know, they're the three categories of people that usually race an MX-5 Miata Cup car series. And being real, the pace difference from driver to driver is absolutely humongous, because you'll have one good driver who is absolutely leading the race like a fucking Jackson Storm in cars, similar to like a Verstappen. And then you'll have most of them just straggling behind, struggling to keep it on track, struggling to shift gears because, you know, it's a manual car. And more often than not, cars are facing backwards rather than forwards because they think it's a good idea to look back instead of just, you know, turning their heads, looking in the mirrors. They think it's a good idea to absolutely turn the car, do a little 180 to see what's going on behind. And then, you know, they're nearly out of the race. The cars are also incredibly slow. And on apex, on exit, on entry, you're going, what, 5 miles an hour at max? Tops, absolutely tops. The lap times are what, 10 minutes around Silverstone, 50 minutes around Spa. It's just so incredibly slow. You're basically tiptoeing around the circuit. Now in MotoGP, you have to have some very, very big kahunas for you to actually want to race on 2 wheels. You know, it looks scary as f. I mean, any racing category, you have to have huge, massive kahunas. Because sending it into some corners is just a death trap, and you know what, fair play if you do it. Honestly, fair play, sending it, fair enough. But in MotoGP, you have to be on some kind of suicide mission, because there's no way you decide in your right mind that you want to be racing on 2 wheels, and your body is literally exposed to everything. No, pretty much no safety features, unless you fall off your bike and you can surf on it like a fucking surfboard, right? I don't know.
Wagwan, family.
The scariest thing ever is MotoGP, genuinely. I don't know how they do it, but they have to be sick in their brain to even decide to want to race in moto biking. 200 miles an hour into some corners, like, what are you thinking? Honestly. One wrong move and you're going to be shaking hands with the man upstairs. Like, instantly. It just... I can't believe people actually want to do it. Now, yes, it does look cool, it does seem cool, but would I ever want to try MotoGP? No! The bike is literally strapped to like a NASA rocket ship. It's going so fast down literally every single straight, maybe not the corners. Now, yet again, if someone were to say the word race car to you, I'm pretty sure the first thing that you'd either think about is a cool ass looking car and some loud pops and bangs coming out the rear of it. Because that's what a car is, it's meant to be loud, it's meant to be aggressive, fierce. But Formula E is literally the polar opposite of that. Every other racing category that we've talked about is like a fierce dragon that's just ready to absolutely murder someone. And then you have Formula E, a nice little bunny rabbit. In your right sick mind, you decide that you want to race in Formula E. Electric vehicles. How boring does that sound? The cars on track sound like a nose hair trimmer.
Looks like an electric car, sir. Yes, and sounds like a nose hair trimmer.
And they are awful. They look like the biggest goofballs on the planet.
Oh no!
And let's be real, the drivers who drive them are also sick in the brain because they can't drive to save their lives. You always get some major contact at most races, let's be real, and some just mad pile-ups. Yet again, probably failed Formula 2 drivers, Formula 1 drivers, Nick de Vries, Stoffel van Dorn, this, that, and the other, Jev as well. It's like Formula E being Formula E, they can't compete with any of the big dogs, even IndyCar. IndyCar seems so much cooler compared to Formula E when Formula E is Formula E. It's just awful. If I were to ask someone, what's your favorite sport? What do you watch? And they were to say Formula E. Number one, I'm never speaking to them ever again. Number two, if they even try to convince me that Formula E is fun or even entertaining to watch, I will shoot them. And let me not even get started on how backwards the rules are. Going off the racing line, you get like, what, plus couple watts into your battery? How stupid does that sound? You get a couple more power. Cool, wow, nobody cares. Most of the time, people end up falling down a cliff than actually finishing a rally. Which, number one, is awful. That is awful to think about. Because, you know, going into a motorsport, motor race, whatever you want to call it, your safety is pretty much meant to be guaranteed. You're meant to feel safe in the car. You're meant to be confident in the car, that the car won't give in, won't kill you. But no, in rally, there's a very high possibility that, number one, your car will catch flames just like Grosjean did in 2020, or you'll fall down the side of a cliff. And both of those options sound terrible, but let's say you complete a rally, you're an absolute hero, the crowd is cheering you on. And let's not forget that the crowd, the people who watch the rallies in real life or at the rally, have to be insane as well. They're standing this close to a car going, what, 180 miles an hour? Driving literally down the straight, going, what, sideways midway through? Nah. Psychos, absolute psychos. And anyone who has raced in rally or even any motor race at all, you have my full respect. Genuinely, every single last bit of respect that I could offer, give it to you guys. But in a nutshell, let's summarize literally everything that we've talked about. Formula 1 is just boring as fuck. Nobody wants to watch it. It's irrelevant. It's so bad. NASCAR, they can't turn right to save their lives. IndyCar, they think they're better than Formula 1, but little do they know they're never going to be a world champion because they only race in America. Failed Formula 1 drivers, failed Formula 2 drivers, and everyone in IndyCar wants to be in Formula 1, but they can't because they're not good enough. MX-5 cars, they are slow as fuck, and they will never ever be faster because, you know, that's the whole racing category, and it's just slow, nobody watches it. Formula E sounds like a nose hair trimmer and is the worst thing that has ever come out of racing ever. In MotoGP, you have to be a psycho to want to race in it because it's a death wish, a death warrant, scary as fuck, and same with rally. Spectators, drivers, the people who are telling them, you know, 50 right, sharp turn 6 left, To put that much faith in the driver is insane to me. So everyone who races has my full respect. Anyway, with that out the way, comment something in the comments what you thought about the video. I don't know why you wouldn't. Like and subscribe because help me on my journey. Please, help me. And I hope you enjoyed the video and have a good day. Have a very good day. Peace.